Good afternoon or good evening, everybody. My name is David Matney with Nebraska Realty here in Omaha, Nebraska. Just want to welcome you to the live stream. Hopefully, you can hear me okay. If so, just let me know in the chat. And then what I thought we'd do tonight is go over just a couple of articles and talk about the real estate market. And then we'd also dive into the world of Reddit and take a few questions from the world of Reddit. So without further ado, if anybody can hear me, I don't know if we have anybody out there in the chatterverse, but we'll go ahead and get started with this first article. And this first article is from Realtor.com. It's sales of existing homes rise in December, but 2024 was the slowest year for transactions in nearly 30 years. Okay. Sales of previously owned homes rose last month, but not enough to prevent 2024 from being the slowest year for home transactions in nearly 30 years. Uh, Existing home sales rose 2.2% on the month in December to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 4.24 million, the strongest pace since February of 2024, the National Association of Realtors reported on Friday. And then we'll scroll down a little bit. Home sales in the final months of the year showed solid recovery despite elevated mortgage rates, says Chief Economist Lawrence Yoon. Home sales during the winter are typically softer than the spring and summer, but momentum is rising with sales climbing year over year for 3 straight months. The median sale price of existing homes continued to rise, climbing 6% from a year earlier to $404,400 in December. It marked the 18th consecutive month of annual price increases and the biggest year-over-year growth since October of 2022. And then we've also seen that on a local level. Just if we take a look at the MLS, this is going back to 2014. This is the median closed sales price. Okay. And you can see in the last 10 years, it had let me show you. Oh, I got the wrong screen. I got to share that with you. Sorry about that. Here we go. I'm still learning this StreamYard thing, so bear with me. All right. This is the median closed price over the last 10 years in the Omaha area region. Oh, and we got my buddy Clark. Okay. Hey, Clark, how you doing? All right, awesome. And I also have MH08. Am I being stalked? Okay. No. Okay. Okay. Clark is a buddy of mine. We jump on a bunch of different live streams together. But thanks, guys, for joining me on the stream. So I appreciate that. All right. But this is just showing you the median closed sales price over the past 10 years. And then if we look at the number of closed sales, you can see that going back to 2014, this is, I took and look at a rolling 12-month average, but you can see where during the pandemic market, how we had, and this is in the Omaha area region, 15,000 sales, and now we're down to 11,000. Okay, now if we even max this out even further and go back to the years of the pandemic, we're not quite there, but Omaha as a city has grown since then. So anyway, back to the article. All right. However, for the full year, However, for the full year of 2024, home sales hit the lowest level since 1995, declining to 4.06 million from 4.09 million from the prior year. The nearly 3 decade All right, let me scroll that up a little bit. All right. And what you see happening is, and a lot of this is all about interest rates. When rates were, um, this is Mortgage News Daily. When rates were during that pandemic market, you had just unbelievable low interest rates. And then what happened starting in January of 2022, they just shot up, and now they're still between that hovering between that 6 to 7% range, in between 6 and 8%. So that really affects someone's affordability as when they're paying a higher rates. Those buyers are still out there; they're just being sidelined. Okay. Um, okay, Clark is seeing prices starting to soften a little bit. Okay, is that right, Clark, in your market? Okay, yep. Okay. And we'll go back to, okay. Um, and again, every market's going to be, every real estate is all local. So every market's going to be different. This is just looking at a national level in terms of the number of sales. Um, the nearly 3 decade sales low is even more remarkable considering the US population has grown by 70 million and added 40 million jobs since 1995. Meanwhile, the median sales price of homes reached a record high of $407,500 across 2024 as sluggish sales and a growing supply of homes on the market failed to drag prices down. Let me highlight that there. While improvement last month is something to celebrate, the December data caps a year where home sales did not live up to the expectations, says Realtor.com chief economist Danielle Hale. The strength of the December uptick will be tested in the months ahead, but does open the possibility that at the bottom in the existing home sales is truly in the rearview mirror, and that time will tell on that. Okay. Um, and again, it's not that the buyers don't want to buy; it's just that some of them are just priced out of the market. Okay. Uh, Rising supply boosts sales in December. The uptick in home sales in December came despite elevated mortgage rates, which averaged 6.72% last month, according to Freddie Mac. In my view, the most important variable in this real estate cycle appears to be inventory availability, Yoon told journalists on a conference call. People want to jump into the market. They're liking to having more choices. So people are entering due to more inventory availability. Okay. The total supply of homes for sale at the end of December was 1.15 million units, down 13.5% from November, in line with seasonal trends. And we'll see that on a local level too. Everybody will, buyer or sellers will tend to take their homes off the market in November just because of the holidays. And then starting in January, home start inventory starts increasing. Okay. Uh, At the current sales pace, there was a 3.3-month supply of homes on the market, down from a 3.8-month supply in November, but up from 3.1 months in December of 2023. Okay, what that means, if when they talk about a month supply, 3.3% or 3.3 months of inventory means if no other homes came on the market, it would take 3.3 months to exhaust the current inventory. Now, if we look at a local level, and we look at month supply, okay, this is, and we'll take it away from the rolling, and we'll just go monthly, and we'll go, okay, at the Omaha level, we have 2.1 months of inventory, months of supply. And then if you break that down between new construction and existing, on the existing market, we have 1.3 months of inventory. And then on the new construction market, we have 6.2 months of inventory. So there's a lot more opportunity in the new construction market. But then you look at price wise, okay, on the existing market, you're looking at $290,000 versus on new construction, the median closed sales price last month was 405,000. Okay. Overall, though, on the new construction market, um, typically that's only a portion of the market. Okay, the vast majority of homes that sell are existing homes. We just don't have a lot of existing out there, just because a lot of folks have those low interest rates, and they don't want to trade a 3% interest rate to a 7% interest rate. Okay, so all right, that's go back to the article here. Okay. Housing economists generally view a 6 month supply of homes as representing a balanced market between buyers and sellers. So on a local level, we have more of a buyer's market. Okay. Oh wow, your resale. Clark says, oh wow, your resale value is down, but new construction is up. Are they building lots of new construction? Yes, we have lots of new construction going on, and a lot of different types of construction too. They're starting to get a little bit more creative with row homes and townhomes and things like that. So we're seeing more of that. Clark and I have friends in other markets that, in California and in New Jersey and Massachusetts, where they don't have as much new construction. So in an Omaha market, we're very fortunate in the fact that we have new construction, because some of those markets that don't have new construction, boy, those prices are just crazy. So and we'll go back to home prices growing slowest in the South. And that's what Clark was talking about in terms of, he's seeing prices soften a little bit. Home prices in every region on an annual basis last month, but grew slowest in the South, where mounting inventory is keeping price growth low. Okay. The median sales price in the South was $361,800 in December, up just 3.4% from a year earlier. Okay. In the Midwest, existing home sales slid 1% in December to 990,000 annualized, up 6.5% from the prior year. The median price in the Midwest was $298,600, up 9% from December of 2023. Okay, so that's and we see that in terms of, let me see here. Okay, here's the close prices, and we'll just take it out. This is for the last 3 years, but if we go out a little ways, and there's going to be month-to-month fluctuations, and it depends on how you want to, if you want to do the rolling average, that flattens out that seasonality. But just to kind of give you in terms of closed sales, okay, this is closed sales, and then let's show new construction. So you can see the vast majority of the transactions are existing homes, and then new construction is just a portion of that. So anyway, show MH08, if I remember correctly, the median price in December rose 2% last last year, which is a bit of a breather. Yes, I mean, we had, um, during the pandemic, we had just crazy price appreciation. It was unhealthy. There was, uh, if you look back and let's see here, go back. This is months of supply. Look at during those years of the pandemic, we had 2 weeks, less than just over 2 weeks of inventory in our market at that time. So that was just unhealthy. Okay. And now it's getting back to more of a normal. We're starting to see a normal market. That was not a normal market, but yeah, that's good to go. All right. Okay, let's dive into the world of Reddit. Okay. And have a little fun with this and see, just kind of talk about it and see what happens. Okay. Made the biggest mistake of my life by selling my house. Going to make this long story short, and I usually never do this, but I know my wife is tired of me venting to her every day about this. Well, earlier this year, and this year, this is 2 years old, but there's a point to this. Okay. Um, well, earlier this year, we decided to sell our home after being there for 3 years, me really pushing it more than my wife. We wanted to catch on a sweet deal with our home drastically rising in value. Well, we contacted our realtor and we made a $40,000 profit from our house. Our plan was to time the market in hopes that since prices sharply went up, then surely will go down for at least a year. Okay, so he decided to time the market, and you know how I kind of feel about that. Okay, uh, so we decided to rent out a townhome. Our rent went from a mortgage of $975 to paying rent of $1,600. We calculated and thought we can manage that surely for a year and then look to buy. Well, we were sadly mistaken and miscalculated. 3 months after the move, my wife found out that she was pregnant and interest rates shot up on us. I'm looking like the biggest idiot ever and regret our decision, and it's eating me alive because now we are living paycheck to paycheck, and now we are cramped in a townhome trying to figure out how we can fit another child into the situation. I feel like we're now priced out of the market for a 4-bedroom house in a nice area for my family. That's sad. Hopefully, just looking for encouragement and guidance on what next steps should be and solutions to help me get out of this funk. Should we wait another year by renting or break the lease and try to find a house with high interest? The only good news out of this situation is that we still have $30,000 from the house, and I just got a $25,000 raise at work. So hopefully it really isn't a lost cause, but looking for assistance. Okay. Um, let's see what Clark says. Because but there's a lot of competition out there. But that's funny. Yeah, that's MH08 says the biggest idiot ever, but there's so much competition. Okay, but here's the thing too, and that is, I know there's a lot. You watch YouTube, and there's a whole bunch of folks out there, claiming that the housing market is going to crash. Um, and you put flames on a thumbnail and you give it a flashy title and that gets clicks and everything. But you gotta, you know, you have to live somewhere. Okay. Um, yeah, Clark, Clark brings up, oh, geez. Yeah, I tell people you can never predict the future. Yeah, if Warren Buffett can't time the market, then what makes this uh, fella university kooky, I guess it is, think he can time the market? So Um, but that goes, I get this question a lot, and Clark, I'm sure you've heard this one before too, is, when is the right time to buy? The right time to buy is when you're ready. Okay. And sometimes that's going to be an individual situation. Okay. Are you going to be there for at least 5 years? What does your job situation look like? Do you have money saved up for, um, maintenance? I think a lot of people, just getting into the house is one thing, but you got to have enough money once you're into it, in order to maintain it. A lot of people, I think, underestimate the cost of maintaining the property. But, and then I've had this situation come up, and this is kind of, again, it was a mistake with selling a house. I had some clients who, um, they thought, well, we'll sell our house and then buy another one. But before you sell your house, make sure you can get pre-approved on the next one. I told them, hey guys, use a local lender, and make sure before you sell that, you're all, the purchase is going to be, you can. And they insisted on using an out-of-state lender, and then lo and behold, guess what? They sold their house, and then they financing, when they went to purchase, um, the financing fell through. So then they were stuck renting. So if you're going to sell your current house, make sure that you're pre-approved before you buy. Have that conversation before you go on, put your home on the market. Okay, got some comments here. Let's see here. Clark says, yes, I hear that all the time. You're right, David. The right time is when you as an individual person is ready. Stop going off what other people around you are doing or saying. And that is 100%, Clark. I appreciate that comment there. That it's now, is it ever going to be absolutely perfect? Um, is the right time going to be absolutely perfect? No, but you got to have some money saved up, that sort of thing. Let's see what MH08 says. I paid $85,000 for my dump in 2005. Since then, I've put in at least another $40,000. Okay, yeah, it takes a lot of money to maintain a house. I get it. Clark says, yes, get pre-approved before you sell to buy. Yep, absolutely. Okay, terrific. Um, all right, and then the other thing too is, when you're getting pre-approved, just because a lender says, hey, you're pre-approved for $600,000, make sure you're comfortable with that payment. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. So, uh, just because, and remember, your lender and your real estate agent are not financial advisors. Okay. So, make sure you're comfortable, because everybody has different lifestyles. Maybe you like to go out to eat quite a bit, like I do. Make sure you figure that into your budget, type of thing. So, anyway, all right. Let's see. Okay, let's go to our next little comment on the world of Reddit. Okay, at the top there. Oh, let's see what MH08. I walked away from a closing because they brought more money to the table than I wanted. Okay, all right, yep. All right, let's take a look at this next one. Okay, is it normal for banks to go through your entire transaction history on your checking account when you're applying for a mortgage loan? The person doing the loan just asked me why I sent a couple of $100s to a family member. And yes, the bank will really scrutinize your transaction history. They got to source all of those funds. So that's just something that you want to be aware of. So if you're getting ready to apply for a mortgage, you want to be very careful not to all of a sudden dump a bunch of money into your checking account and that sort of thing. Okay, let's just kind of go through a couple of these comments and see what people say. This will get kind of crazy. Let's see what happens. Okay. Um, More like 60 days rather than the entire transaction history. But yeah, usually they want 2 months of statements and that sort of thing. Um, okay. Oh, let me put that one back up there. Where's that at? Okay, Throw117 said, I had to explain. I had to explain to my lender that the $200 I Venmoed was to my weed dealer for, for weed. Okay, so I guess they use Venmo for weed now. I guess I wasn't aware of that, but hey, that's interesting. Okay, so oh Lord, do we look at the replies to that and see what are the replies? Okay. It makes me feel so old knowing that weed dealers out there who take Venmo. What happened to cash? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. You guys have weed dealers. Okay, we have stores for that on almost every block. That's grapefruit 33. Okay. He must be from a weed friendly state. How did they take that? I would want to know how they understand. I'd want to know what they said with that. Okay, JT, this is great. I was thinking of doing the same. Great info. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Probably they owe that person money. It's a serious question. If you owe money to both a drug dealer and a bank, we're concerned that you might choose to pay the drug dealer first. Okay, the bank wants to know that. Okay, awesome. So, um, all right, that's let's see. Craig Hipsher, the weed thing is true. Yeah, back in the day, they you didn't have weed dealers that did with worked with Venmo. So I guess that's the modern thing nowadays. So okay, awesome. All right, and let's take a look here at our next one. Okay, how is a home an investment if you pay more than 50% in interest over the life of the loan? At 7% and 20% down on a 30-year loan, you'll pay more in interest than you will towards your principal. That means you need your home value to more than double in 30 years to break even. I'm thinking about this and calculating this right. It seems insane to me that paying for equity is a good argument to buy a home when in reality you end up negative in the end unless your home doubles in price. Okay. Well, when you pay interest, nothing comes for free. I mean, the lender is going to charge you to borrow that money, and that's called interest. Okay. And we'll look at a mortgage calculator here. I'll share this tab. Okay. I don't know if you can, I'll see if I can make this a little bigger. Okay. In the top here, I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, but you got a home price of $300,000. We're going to have a zero down payment and a term of 30 years at a 7% interest rate. Okay. And then your total, and just for shins and grins, I plugged in some numbers. We're looking at $400 for property taxes, homeowners insurance per month, $250, a loan amount of $300,000. Total interest paid over those 30 years is $418,527. So that the bank is going to charge you to borrow that money. Okay. So you got a 30-year loan. Your payoff date is January of 2055. And the total cost of that money is going to be $718,000. Okay. And it's front loaded. Okay. Meaning this, we'll take a look at the amortization schedule here. Okay. When you borrow that money, that first year, okay, your principal and interest payment, a big chunk of it goes to interest and only a portion goes to principal. Okay. Same thing happens the second year as you start paying down the loan. That's why you want to be in a home for at least 5 years, because you pay down very little of the principal at the very start. Okay. Um, I hope that makes sense. Now, one thing you can do, and that is, uh, I'm kind of a big fan of doing this, and that is if you have your principal and interest payment, you can apply a little bit of extra toward your principal every month. Okay, so as long as you can afford to, you always want to have but let's say you pay just an extra $100 more um, per month. Okay, what does that do? Well, if you just chipped in an extra $100 towards principal, look what that did to you cut off 5 years of that loan. You've paid off your home that much faster. Okay. Um, let's say you applied 200. Let's say you could afford to chip in $250 a month. Okay. Now look how much you've cut off 9 years of the loan. So just by paying a little bit extra every month toward principal, you're going to knock that down quite a bit. So I'm kind of a huge fan of doing that. Okay. It may kick in a couple hundred every month. Absolutely. Yep. And then see, Clark has to say, you can pay more toward to your principal to help pay it off quicker. Absolutely. Yeah. So that way you're paying off um, that loan that much quicker. Okay. Yeah. So I'm a huge fan of that. All right. Um, cut off 9 years, then refi into a 10 or 15 at a lower rate. Yep, absolutely, MHO8. Yep, you're absolutely right. Yep. So I would always, as an investor, I would do that as well. Let's see what Clark has. The problem is that most people buy or live at the top of their budget and cannot afford to put anything extra to it. If you live below your means, you could do it, and that's 100% true. And I'm a kind of a huge fan of living below your means. That's why, just because a lender says, hey, you can afford a $600,000 mortgage, if you're not comfortable with that, then don't do that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, and you're absolutely right, Clark. That's what happens to a lot of folks. They go at the very top of their budget. So yeah, that's a good point. Okay, let's talk a little bit about and I've kind of talked about. I'll show this on the tab. Okay. Um, okay. Buyer's agent wants 3% guarantee from buyer. Okay. And this is going to have to do with the new regulations or the new because of the NAR settlement. Okay. In the market for a new house, I recently met with a buyer agent who had a contract asking for a 3% guarantee. So if the seller was offering 2%, I'd have to cover the extra 1% difference. I don't remember this being a thing last time I bought. Is this the standard now? They also refused to reduce it to 2.5% guaranteed. Am I being unreasonable? 2.5% would be approximately $17,000. Okay. Now, as of August 17th of last year, in order to tour a property, you have to enter into a buyer broker agreement. And in that buyer broker agreement, number one, the commission is always negotiable. The length of the contract is negotiable. And, you know, some agents are going to be more flexible than others, and so forth. But if you sign, this buyer is correct. If you sign an agreement saying you agree to a 3% commission, then you're going to have to pay out of pocket to cover the difference. Okay, so just be aware of that. So that's why it's a good idea to talk with several agents first. Don't just, a lot of folks, what they do is they go to Zillow, they see a house they like, and then they just click on, whatever agent is on Zillow. Well, when you do that on Zillow, that agent paid for that spot to be advertised there. So you want to be careful. You want to read what you're signing and make sure you clearly understand. But unless you sign that and guarantee. Now, if you don't sign it, if you don't agree to 3%, then you won't see the home with that agent. You might have to talk with a different agent. But it's a good idea to talk with several different agents and seeing exactly what their process is. Okay, but that's completely okay. Let's see what some of the comments were on this. This might get kind of spicy because there's okay. Okay, you should refuse to work with them. Agents are a dime a dozen right now. You should not have any trouble finding one who would be happy to work with 2.5 or even 2%. Again, it's all negotiable. Okay. Thank this agent for their time and move on. That's absolutely one of your options. Find a different agent. The agreement is required by law, but the rate is negotiable. You're not entitled to 2.5% either. You're not. If you don't like it, go to another agent. 2.5% is not unreasonable. Commissions are negotiable, so whatever you determine what is reasonable, things like that. Okay. Just like Clark says, there's no standard compensation. It is all negotiable. The new rules want us to lay everything out now in the agreement. However, I always talk to my clients prior to signing any agreement. Exactly. Yep. That's the paperwork is the standard, and that's not. Paperwork is going to vary from state to state and from market to market. There's no standard commission in real estate. This is what the agent charges. If you're not comfortable paying that and the agent will negotiate, you're free to interview other agents and find one who will. Absolutely. For any reasons you're uncomfortable with your agent's terms or behavior, find a new agent. This dude cares about getting paid, period. His inflexibility shows that. Don't be afraid to fire your agent. Correct. Okay. Find another agent if you're uncomfortable with the terms. Okay. All right. And again, everybody is going to, okay, I knew there would be somebody that is, I eagerly await the demise of this profession. Yeah, there's going to be some haters going on there. Yeah, just talks about let's talk about this one. This kind of dovetails right along with that. How to terminate a buyer agent agreement. Let me share this tab. Okay. My wife and I are first time home buyers. It's a terrible time to be looking for our first home in this market. We found a house on Zillow and requested to take a tour. The agent that toured the home, I assumed was the seller's agent. Okay. Again, that's not necessarily the case. People pay for that advertising position. So there are agents that pay thousands of dollars. There are agents that pay an unbelievable amount of money on Zillow. Okay, so don't assume that when you click on that agent, that's the seller's agent. We decided to place a bid on the home. We signed several documents, one of which was a buyer agent agreement with this realtor. We didn't get that house. We offered $15,000 over asking. Okay, now this is 3 years ago, but it's it's that was the market then. We realized that the agent was not a seller's agent, but now our agent. We found a FSBO house on Zillow and decided to tour it and set up a time to tour it with the homeowner and realtor. There were multiple issues with this house, so we decided not to move forward with that house. We have a family friend who is a realtor, and we want to move forward with their services. We sent our Zillow realtor a buyer agency cancellation letter signed by us. Zillow agent responded saying he doesn't understand why we are attempting to canceling and he doesn't appreciate working for free. I totally understand the working for free idea. However, this man only made up paperwork for one deal and toured 2 homes with us. He put in no more than 6 hours of his time. The agreement was for 6 months, by the way. But again, the length of the agreement is also negotiable too. So you got to look at all the terms. Okay. What should we do moving forward if he still refuses to sign? Okay, here's the copy of the letter we sent. While it's been a pleasure meeting and working with you, Ryan, I request a cancellation of our buyer agency agreement. When we found the first property on Zillow, we didn't know that we'd be working with a Zillow recommended agent solely, as we've never purchased a house before and aren't familiar with the process. We originally had an agent lined up before we clicked on the first Zillow property, and we would like to use her moving forward. We would like to assure you that this is through no fault of your own. We're grateful you were willing to work with us early on. If you'd be so kind to sign this letter stating we are canceling our contract, we would appreciate it. Best wishes. Okay. And then the reply, okay. Again, every agent's going to be different. Okay. The reply was, I'd like to understand better why my advertisements of services through Zillow weigh on your decision not to use me as a realtor. If your intentions were to use another realtor, why did you decide to sign the agency agreement and move forward with a contract? You could have simply called your intended realtor. My time is valuable, just like yours, and I do not appreciate working for free. Your current realtor can call me to work out a commission agreement. Okay. And then they had an update to that. I talked with a lawyer last week, and his best advice was simply wait out the contract. He said he may be able to find a legal way out, but it would cost thousands of dollars and then going to court. Part of the contract that is really the issue is agent is entitled to commission on any property purchased in the state, regardless of if real estate introduces the property to the buyers. Okay. So, or his advice was to wait out the contract. Okay. Which, you got to be careful before you sign a buyer broker agreement. Take a look and read that thing over. It's going to be 3 or 4 pages, but don't be in a hurry. Let's see. Clark said, yep, agents, brokerage, and teams pay for those zip codes. The listing agent info is always small on the page, either at the bottom other the listing or on the top above the public remarks. And is true. Even when it's a for sale by owner, the for sale by owner, the contact information for the for sale by owner is buried in there. So when you click on a tour, you're still getting hooked up with an agent. MH08. If I wanted to hire a buyer's agent by the hour, day, half day, what would be a fair rate? That's a great question. That's going to depend upon the agent. So what's going to be fair to one agent may not be fair to someone else. It's all going to be negotiable. So everybody's going to have different that sort of thing. The way our agreement, my agreement is it's a certain percentage of the sale price. But again, that's a great question. I don't necessarily do it by the hour, day, that sort of thing. But Clark, do you have anything to chime in with that? Do you have any thoughts on that? What your thoughts on that? Okay. Down here in Georgia, you can mutually agree to cancel. However, the agreements have a protection period. So if the buyer goes back and buys that house, the last realtor can still be compensated. Yep, yep. I kind of I have a clause in mind that's kind of an easy out uh, process that they can cancel up until an accepted written offer. So everybody's going to do things differently, whatever you decide to do. Within that protection period, the last realtor can still be compensated. Yep. Let's see. I'm thinking of I'm thinking of a couple that changed agent. I want I want to get them something. Okay, yeah, um, that find somebody you're comfortable with and then stick with them. I mean, and sometimes there's just a personality fit that people just don't fit. So, um, you know, and you can also have a limited uh, buyer agency agreement to where it might be just for that specific house. But some agents are going to put you on the hook and then they're going to hold you to it. So, long story short, just read the contract, ask questions, um, you know, that sort of thing. So, anyway, all right. Well, any other questions out there in the chat? That's pretty much all. Let's see what some of the comments were on this. Okay. Uh, as a broker, it's part of the business that you work for free sometimes. Just cancel and move on. But I wouldn't advise working with a friend. If things go awry, you could lose a friend, and that's true. Sometimes family can be a challenge too. So I got a story for that one, but okay. Um, did they explain to you that you would be signing a buyer agent agreement, or did they just sneak it in? Yeah. Um, so there was no explanation of a buyer's agreement when we signed the papers for the initial offer. He just sent over the papers to sign for the offer that included like it was part of the deal. No explanation of that paper. Yeah, and what happens is folks will sign things electronically, and it's real easy to sign things electronically with a clicks. And you have signed a contract. You always want to take the time to read that over, look it over. Okay. This person said if he doesn't release you relatively quickly, contact his broker and ask for a cancellation of agency. Just say you prefer not to use this realtor. Yeah. And again, you can try that, but some brokers are not going to let you off the hook. They're on that. So um, we reached out to the broker, and she basically heard our side of the story and said she'll get back to us shortly. Okay. Here's a good question. Obvious question. Why did you not start working with your friend initially? Yeah, if you see a house and you're interested in it, then call your agent. Okay, let's see here. Let's see what Clark says. I'm not sure about that MOH. That can be tricky because everyone does work the same. So you would have to base it off of how hard you think the work has worked for you. Yep. Okay. Oh, doesn't mean to say. Okay. Doesn't work. Okay, that's what he meant to say. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Ignorance is no excuse. However, I was thinking they could have offered him something to get out of the contract and everybody be good. Yeah, no, you know, yeah, that's a good point, MOH. Yeah. Okay. Um, if you want to terminate um, with Realtor One, send a reply thanking him, and you would appreciate if he would sign the termination so you can move forward. You do not contact their office. You can, but that doesn't necessarily let you off the hook. So you could still be on the hook. There's going to be some agents that hold your feet to the fire on that. So there's no Yeah, just like yeah, they're not going to. Some are not going to have pity on you. Okay. Okay. Here's another technique. Okay, tell him you're sorry, and he doesn't understand. And two, you can say that you do that. There are what are the legal consequences if I simply ignore this signed contract and purchase home through a new agent? Okay. Uh, Depends on how hard they want to pursue it. Okay, it's a contract. So um, yeah. So anyway, that's everybody's going to have an opinion and that sort of thing. Um, Here we go. Um, yeah, that's yeah that Con give him the 1-star review on Zillow. I'm sure he'll appreciate that one. Yeah, that Anyway, that's all good. Any other questions from the chat? All right. Looks like we've had 8 people tonight. I really enjoyed tonight. Hopefully, you got some value out of it. And this is my first time going live, so not the first time. We had a live last week, but hopefully, what I'm going to plan to do is do more lives in the future, and then bring on other agents and just learn, hopefully get some value out of this and that sort of thing. But if you don't mind subscribing to the channel, and then if you don't mind giving this a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. And then if we don't have, let's see, there we go. Question here. How's the weather in Omaha today? Over 50 again in Denver. Yeah, it got really warm today. It got, I think it was like, what was it today? It was warm enough that I went for a walk. So that, go figure with that. So, yeah, let's see. I want to say it was over 50. It had to be. It was plenty warm, but it was really nice out today. Clark says we now have a touring agreement in place down here, which doesn't require you to be in contract with us if touring for one house. Yeah, that's kind of like what we have too. The limited agent, the limited one. Yeah, so we have that as well. All right, cool. All right. Well, guys, everyone, I appreciate that. We have 9 people on the screen. Went stream for 52 minutes. Oh, we got another question. All right, cool. Just hey. Okay. Well, someone else come up with a question, so MH08 can postpone laundry. So somebody have another good question or all right. Thank you, Clark. I appreciate it. Thank you, MOH. Thanks everybody in the chat, Craig and everybody. I really appreciate you chiming in on the chat. JT, thank you for stopping by. Thanks everybody. I really appreciate it. And then we'll do this. My plan is to do this every week. So hopefully I'll get better during the process and go from there. But without any more questions, we'll go call it a night. And you guys have a great day. And thanks again. All right. Bye, everybody.